I can't tell you guys how excited I am. I've been waiting on this video all week long because Matt Nuclear, as soon as they were done with this debate, like a week ago, pretty much, maybe a week ago now, he was talking a big game. He was filming right after he had his phone out filming both of these guys. And also, it seemed like he had a weird, like he wasn't actually close. He didn't actually consider the guy he was debating with to be part of it. Like, I could sense there was something off, and it was only all based off like a 3 second clip where the main focus was on these two. But my intuition was dead on because I saw a clip um, of Matt Nuclear and his supposed partner in this debate arguing, and these two were just looking at each other like, I mean, thank you, I guess. Like, but anyway, this will probably be many parts. I won't even get done tonight. This is an hour and a half, but I have to watch this, and I have to record myself reacting to everything. This is peak. This is peak to me. This is peak fiction. All right, let's go.
Let me respond. That's the point that I don't know.
I think a
I'm
lot
not
of
gonna
you.
watch the previews. Hold on. Don't want any spoilers.
I'm a progressive liberal.
I'm Parker, and I'm a progressive liberal.
I'm Matt, and I am a classical conservative.
I'm Dennis Feitosa. I'm an America First conservative. I'm running for Congress, and you are watching Roundtable.
So far, they haven't gotten there. We're not satisfied with it, but we will be. We will be either that or we'll have to just finish the job. But the Navy is gone, as I've said 1,000 times. The Navy is gone. The Air Force is gone. Everything's gone, and they're negotiating on fumes. But we'll see what happens. Maybe we have to go back and finish it. Maybe we don't.
Trump is proving that peace through strength works. Iran is negotiating because it knows America is finally willing to finish the job.
This mug started as a sketch in a notebook.
If we're considering that, quote unquote, demonstrating peace through strength is getting Iran to negotiate, and more specifically getting them to negotiate by first starting a war, well, then I don't think that this is something that's been proven to work, considering the fact that we were in a better position a decade ago under Obama with the JCPOA without a war in Iran.
Yeah, I would just disagree with that immediately. I don't think that the JCPOA was peaceful, right? Because the JCPOA essentially...
No. Matt Nuclear's already off to the wrong start. Dean argued the point that we were better off than we are right now under the JCPOA. We were closer to having the most restrictions on Iran than we do now. Matt Nuclear is totally going away from that main point because he knows it's true, and he's saying, oh well, the degree wasn't, I mean not the degree, the agreement, it wasn't good enough, it wasn't peaceful enough. That's not what he's saying. That's not what Dean said. What we're comparing is, we're not comparing the JCPOA with a hypothetical, eventual utopia-looking, relationship between us and Iran. We're not comparing those two. We're comparing what we had under the JCPOA versus what we currently have now, what Trump has actually done. Or I'll even give this guy enough leeway to say, or it could also be what a realistic goal, a realistic outcome that we can realistically expect to have soon, within a year or so. But he's not doing that. Matt Nuclear's not doing that. He's comparing it to this potential hypothetical fake reality that we could eventually maybe have someday, maybe.
Allowed the Biden administration to unfreeze billions of Iranian assets that were held in Qatar, held in Iraq, and so on and so forth. Under the Obama administration, they unfroze assets, and under the Biden administration, they also unfroze assets. And this essentially allowed the IRGC, as they are the number one state sponsor of terrorism, to support groups like the Houthis in Yemen that have disrupted global maritime trade in the Red Sea. I believe specifically $200 billion worth of economic damage was done in the Red Sea because of the support of the IRGC. They created the Yemeni civil war in 2011, for example, with conflicts with one of our largest economic partners, Saudi Arabia. They fueled and funded Hamas to support them and gave them intelligence to conduct October 7th, which was the second largest terrorist attack in the 21st century. I mean, the Hezbollah, for example, in southern Lebanon, right, in their war with Israel, and their South American drug trafficking operation that was like Operation Cassandra, I believe, exposed in 2008 by the DEA. Sure, like the JCPOA limited their enrichment, right? It wasn't at 60%. But the issue with the JCPOA doesn't account for Iran being the main state sponsor of terrorism, and it also didn't account for them having the largest missile stockpile in the Middle East. So that's like the main issue of the JCPOA.
So you do disagree with Trump's war in Iran? Because even Donald Trump is, in his negotiations with Iran, is willing to release...
Again, all of that would have happened regardless of if we had the JCPOA or not. All those things that he listed. I'm not even going to fact check them. I could probably overturn 50% of what he just said. However, I won't do that because it is totally irrelevant. All that stuff, just because the JCPOA didn't go hard enough and didn't address all those things, they would have happened if we did the JCPOA or if we didn't do the JCPOA. At the very least, Obama's deal cut down on something. It was the biggest thing that you guys champion about and tout about, their nuclear program. That's what it addressed. So it is factually better than if we did not have it.
Relinquish economic sanctions on the country, promoting more economic activity, which would then lead to the
Short
same
term.
outcome
Right.
as...
Hold I have it a little too fast. Let me go. Like 115.
It's like unfreezing their funds, for instance. So that's like my one issue. When I hear people on the right saying, well, the reason why I disagreed with Obama's JCPOA is because it unfroze funds, it gave them back some of the money,
Can I respond to that?
which they sold goods to us in the 70s. Well, we'd see the same outcome from, Trump's war today. If we relinquish the sanctions, if we allow them to promote more economic productivity within their own country, well, then they're going to have more money to do the same
Well,
thing.
the real is at like 2 million to the dollar. That's one. And number two, currently they've suffered like $4 billion worth of lost oil revenue because we blockaded their blockade, right? Preventing them from also exporting oil over to China, which about 50% of their oil goes to. I do agree that like Trump offered them like a short-term relief where they can export oil, not because that he loves Iran, but just to obviously like decrease the global economic turmoil because of the oil loss, obviously. But generally, he does believe in John Bolton's, Mark Levin's, Lindsey Graham's maximum pressure strategy on Iran. And I don't think this is like a new war. I just think Trump is addressing things that other presidents or prior presidents were not able to address.
Do you think that Trump got Iran closer to a nuclear weapon?
No, I don't believe that Trump got Iran
You
closer
don't
to
think
nuclear
pulling out of a JCPOA led to them getting closer to a nuclear weapon?
No, because Trump would be willing to actually strike Iran in their facilities. Like Natanz, Fordo, and Isfahan were struck during Midnight Hammer.
So because they got closer, we then had to strike them, acknowledges that you are saying that it actually got closer in the first place. So Trump pulling out of the JCPOA did get Iran closer to a nuclear weapon. Would you agree?
No, I wouldn't agree to that.
That's just denying reality at this
What
point.
you're failing to understand is like,
Do you mind if I
yeah,
ask-
their
do you mind if I ask
enrichment.
you a
Hold on, their enrichment was 60%, right, which is like really close to 90%, which is weapons grade.
Is
But
that
the
higher
reason,
than 3.67?
of course, but the
So
reason.
they
But
got
can I
closer
respond to
to a
that?
nuclear
Can I
weapon.
respond? Can I respond to that really
Go ahead.
quickly? Okay, great. What you're failing to understand is that the intelligence report that came out before that was that they were not trying to build a nuclear weapon. Of course, they were at the 60%, which was a crazy level of enrichment, but we didn't assess that they were actually actively willing to build one. And if they were going to actually go for a bomb, like they were, for example, before in the earlier 2000s, we would actually strike, right? For example, Biden was not
Hold
able.
on, let me pause this and myself re-listen to what he just said. It's crazy now all of a sudden he wants to make the distinction between their goals in the early 2000s, which was my entire point in this video about yeah, they had ambitions to build a nuke in the early 2000s, but those changed. Please watch this whole video right here before you watch this one. I lay it out perfectly. But now he wants to make that distinction, and he's like, yeah, they were at 60%, but they didn't want to build one. This is something he put on his story. Listen.
The goal was to build a bomb. So you want to see it? I have it right here. See why they were at 60% plus enrichment?
Yeah,
Because they had
60%.
60+% enrichment. Can you explain to me why they were at 60% plus?
He's like, can you explain to me why they were at 60+% if it wasn't to build a nuke? And I was telling him in the video right here, there are other reasons. First off, there are other reasons to use it for that have nothing to do with nukes at all, even in indirect ways, like strategic reasons, as in, oh, I might eventually build a nuke with this, which wouldn't, even still, would not mean that they are going to build a nuke. It's just like, again, it's just strategic. But even still, there are other ways, like humanitarian ways, to use 60% enriched uranium. I don't think Iran was doing that either, but they could have ambitions to do that eventually. Regardless, now he wants to make that distinction.
Even if Iran were to really try to get a nuclear bomb during Biden's time period, he wouldn't be willing to strike, and Trump would be willing to strike.
So prior to Midnight Hammer, were they higher than 3.67%?
I think you already know the answer to that. Yes. Of course.
Yes. Is that closer to the 90% necessary to be able to weaponize the enriched uranium?
Yes, but we'd be able to
So
strike
that
before
they
that.
objectively are closer to a nuclear weapon. Do you now
So he's literally just saying his entire argument for the truth that he wants to go so hard against the JCPOA, and it's true that under the JCPOA they were a lot further away from nuclear weapons than they are now. We wouldn't even need to strike them. We wouldn't need to get to the point of having to strike them because they weren't enriching it at all. And his response to this, to the fact that factually, yes, us pulling out made them get closer to having a bomb, is, oh, well, Trump's going to strike them and Biden won't. First off, I deny that if they got close that Biden would strike anyways. Biden definitely would. But even if he wouldn't, the point is, we wouldn't get to that point. We would have never gotten to that point. Period. That is just a fact. That I wish Dean and Parker would say this. Regardless of if you want to bicker about like, oh, well, we were closer under Biden or we were closer under Trump, and I think we were closer under Biden because Trump would actually strike them, whereas Biden's just a pansy. Source, trust me, bro. Don't even entertain that thought, Dean and Parker. Just tell them, be like, would we even need to strike under the if we still had the JCPOA? We wouldn't need to strike, would we? No, we wouldn't. And that's all that matters.
Agree?
Yeah, but they were closer in
So now he
2021 under
agrees.
Biden.
He's now conceded. Thank you.
Okay, I mean,
So is Trump
the
actually
issue
closer to peace through
Right.
strength if he's
He's
established?
true, and I mean he Parker is right. And another thing is, again, just pay attention to what his argument is right now. Matt Nuclear, he's just saying. I mean, there are no facts here. It's just he needs to actually prove that Trump would have strike, whereas Biden would not have. And of course we know Trump would have because he did. But it's like, and first off, even though we struck, they still have all of their enriched uranium. And we need to still wait and see how this war ends, because if it ends with us not having to deal at all about uranium, and Iran can and probably will continue to enrich uranium, and Iran develops a nuclear weapon, then he's just flat out wrong. And it doesn't even matter that Trump is striking, because the strikes aren't even working. So Trump would have messed it up in every single way possible. So we still need to wait and let this war pan out a little bit more, but it's not looking good for him.
Push us in a worse position and actually.
Well, it's
And
not.
his source is his support for his argument is, trust me, bro, Biden wouldn't have done it. And also, trust me, bro, this tactic is 100% effective, and it will work, and they won't get a nuclear weapon once this is all said and done. And also, the JCPOA was worse at this. Somehow he thinks letting them enrich and then bombing them is better than just having the JCPOA and not having to do any of the bombing and spend whatever $1 billion on an illegal war with them in the first place. Why is that better? Why is it better to let them enrich and then strike? Why not? He still hasn't proved that. He hasn't even tried to attempt to attack it from that angle yet.
Not a worse position. This is, yeah, the issue is, hold on, can I respond? The issue, hold on. The issue is that your argument is very reductive. So, for example, Marco Rubio has made it very clear, along with everybody else, that it's not just about their nuclear weapon this time. Like, we didn't get the highly enriched uranium. Yeah, we bombed Natanz and bombed their facilities again, obviously. But we've done more than that, apart from, for example, hitting their Shahed drone capacity, their missile capacity, destroying their destroyers, right? Depleting their...
He's right about we didn't, like I said earlier, we definitely didn't get their enriched uranium.
Their naval capacity.
Now watch when this is all said and done, they actually develop a bomb, and you're just flat out wrong about everything. Because your argument does hinge on the fact that it must be successful. If you're saying that we're safer and they're further away from a nuclear weapon under Trump because he's going to bomb them and make sure they don't develop one, well, for that to hold up, they actually have to not develop one. They have to not follow through with it. And it looks like they're more and more likely to do it because of Trump's actions.
Hitting top IRGC and nuclear scientists. And
now his
making...
argument is, oh, well, it's not even about the uranium. We actually just want to bomb all their other crap and just take out all their scientists and take out all their ballistic missiles and just take everything else out. That's what it's actually about, actually.
Their government dysfunctional, right? Stressing their economic ability to project power by obviously decreasing their monetary means by like $4 billion. So it's multifaceted than just nuclear weapons. And I think the reason why we're in the current position that we are...
It's multifaceted than just nuclear weapons.
Is because Obama, right, and prior U.S. presidents, like Biden, thought that it was just as simple as their nuclear weapon. No, Iran is a much larger threat than just nuclear weapons. I mean, for God's sakes, they produce drones for Russia, right? They give cheap oil to China. There's so many other different variables and of how them being a destabilizing force.
And by the way, this was his criticism of the JCPOA. JCPOA was basically the same thing, like, oh, it only addressed the nuclear program. It didn't go after everything else. It didn't make the world a perfect utopia. It didn't completely perfect our relationship with Iran and make sure that they are not a threat to a singular person on planet Earth. So that's why we had to rip the JCPOA up and go further back and regress. Ripping it up, we didn't even get a new deal. We didn't do anything better. We just got worse. And that is, you can't argue with that. It's so stupid that they try to do that. Fine, if you want to say it wasn't good enough, that's fine, if that's your argument. But then that means if you're saying it was a good decision to reverse that decision, then why didn't you make a separate decision that made the relationship better and got those things that you're advocating for?
Of course, looking at it through...
That just makes too much sense for them.
Purely, the nuclear weapons is a very reductive way of doing it. I know that's like the main thing that we bring up because that's like the biggest fear factor.
God, this is... He's trying to... See how he frames it? He's so snarky and slimy. Like, You guys are so simple-minded. All you guys think about is big, strong nuke, scary nuke. You're such a child in the way you think. You think strong, scary nuke. It's actually, it's more multifaceted than just, what do you say? Than just nukes. How idiotically did you put that? Oh, it's more complex than this. You guys are so simple-minded. Hey, idiot. This is you guys bringing this up. This is you guys always talking about the nukes. We're just responding to your reasons that you come up with for the war.
But it's more
What do you have, short-term memory loss, buddy?
multifaceted than just nuclear weapons.
Your position relies on being actively at war with them. They will just be able to build up all of those missile capabilities after, so there's a perpetual need to constantly...
Exactly. That's such a great point, yes. If we're so worried about them just having these weapons and having a means of defending themselves or having a means to attack other people or whatever, then the logical conclusion from that is, period, there is no arguing with this, that we are just to be in war with them for the rest of time. Because as long as they're going to keep building up, which they will, we're going to have to keep destroying that. If it has to be gone. If we can't let them have any of these type of weapons.
Constantly go back to war with them. So you're actually not providing an option that gets you closer to the deal in terms of preventing them from getting a nuclear weapon, because actively going to war with them reduced our bargaining power, because it led to them actually just, closing the Strait of Hormuz, which inevitably...
Why are they willing to engage now?
What you said, why are they willing to engage? Are they really engaging?
Yeah, they are. Actually,
why did we strike in southern Lebanon?
So the negotiation...
Answer the question. Why did we strike in southern Lebanon if they're negotiating?
Okay, really quickly. So Israel has been the one striking in southern Lebanon, not America. So I think you're just confused.
So they're not coordinating?
Well, coordination now is different from us actively striking. So I like how you're changing
Can we
the
just take a second? Hold on. We've just gotten so far.
I'll let him go. I'll respond to you.
We're only looking at a
I
microscope.
wonder what his negotiation... Again, we need to take note of what he said earlier, all those things he was listing. And also, I made a video about he posted something on the stories, what I was referring to earlier about the weaknesses of the JCPOA. It better have all those things in there. If your argument is, oh, well, now they're going to agree to all these things we've been advocating for, well, then they better agree to all those things you've been advocating for. If not, I'm going to call your stupid deal too weak. That's what I'm going to call it.
Topic aspect of the
We'll see it. We'll see it. I don't... Again, all of his arguments hinge on, trust me, bro. They're gonna make a deal with us now, an even stronger big boy deal. Trust me, bro.
the claim. We're not
we'll see.
even looking at all the actions that happened that could be argued. There was Venezuela.
And also, even eventually when that happens, if that is what happens, if they do agree to some big, strong, big boy deal, I'd still disagree why is that so important that it's necessary to bomb a bunch of schoolgirls? Like, I don't see it as that necessary. They don't pose that much of a threat.
There were the strikes that happened last year. Sure, the war has been, in my eyes, a tremendous failure. Hasn't really proven peace through strength has worked. But as far as the claim that Iran is negotiating because it knows America is finally willing to finish the job, I don't believe that's true. I mean, I don't think there's anybody coming to the table. I think that we're just having Israel still strike them by proxy. And I think that, honestly, I'm just looking...
This guy's bad. I see why they argue now. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. That I'll believe it when I see it, if they're so willing to negotiate, and especially come to all of those terms that he listed earlier in the video. I don't see it happening.
Looking at this objectively,
Sure.
I think that it benefits, and I'm saying this as a Republican, I'm saying this as somebody who saw just everything just flip on our party the moment that this war started, that we're cooling things off because we're about to get slammed in the primaries. That's really what's happening.
It's true. I mean, it is. I mean, we look at the approval rating of the war in Iran inside of the American electorate. We see it's like 16%. Okay, not too many people support it. You, me, and Parker included. But I mean, once again, just reducing ourselves down to the bare bones of the prompts. Donald Trump is proving peace through strength because he's showing strength. He's going to war with Iran, and that is the mechanism in which is then allowing them or making them negotiate with us. Well, I feel like the answer to this question is so obvious. Okay, Obama got them to negotiate. I know you think that he negotiated a poor deal with them because he was unwilling to freeze their accounts. Okay, well, that's exactly what Trump is going to do with other monetary means.
All Trump does is rip up the negotiations. I know I keep saying this, but I have to reiterate it because people. I reiterate things so much in my videos, and then I'll get people in the comment section. Jesus, I can't talk today. And they will hammer that same exact point that I've reinforced like 69 different times. Saying that the JCPOA didn't address all of those different things, I'm not saying it's a valid critique, but if that's a critique you want to make, fine. But you can't say that, and you're using that as evidence to support the idea that, oh, we should have torn that deal up. It wasn't good enough, so we tore it up. You can't just stop there. if it wasn't strong enough, well, guess you just weakened us. You weakened us. If it's not strong enough, then get something stronger. You're not even consistent in your argument. You rip up the deal and then do nothing. And now they get even stronger, and we look even weaker.
The war today, regardless if it's either directly giving the money or indirectly giving the money by relinquishing the sanctions, it's going to happen. But the point is that Obama got them to negotiate without killing 160 girls in an elementary school in southern Iran.
Yeah, just killing
Obama got them to
thousands
negotiate.
Hold on.
And the reason why I bring that up,
he was just
we can
he
talk
killed
about
most
Kosovo and
civilians.
Afghanistan.
No, not just that. He killed most civilians by drone strikes.
Listen, I definitely agree that there's a shit ton of war crimes in the Middle East under Obama.
Libya.
But the point that I'm making is just simply the fact
Forever
that
destroyed.
the one of the good things he did was he proved that we can negotiate with Iran without going to war. And then the only reason why Donald Trump tore up that deal is because
It was a weak deal, though.
Well, hold on,
I mean,
really quickly, there's a
like the pallets of cash, all that stuff. It was weak.
the pallets of cash that were theirs. We scammed them in the 70s.
Okay, hold on.
Do you guys think it's stronger for now that Iran is closer to a nuclear weapon compared to what they were 10 years ago?
It didn't have the kind of deterrent effect that
I think it's stronger if we were to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon to a greater extent, which would, by the way, still be in place until 2030.
Right, so let me just really quickly respond. You're still stuck on this nuclear weapon thing, which I don't blame you.
Isn't that what he's saying is the main thing?
Well, no, actually. So
is.
he's been
That's what
talking
Trump
about, just really quickly, that's one of the main factors, obviously, but I told you that
That is what Trump is saying is the main thing.
there's a broader umbrella and things to look like. For example, Iran has like the Quds Force, which is like their own specialized force. 300 of them, for example, in Venezuela. They've given hundreds of missiles to Cuba and, for example, Venezuela. They've been operating as a pro-Russia axis of evil in the Middle East. And they are a large country with significant military power, with significant ability to project and to obviously engage in warfare. I mean, what other country do you see launch missiles at Israel like Iran or the UAE or Qatar and so on and so forth? And all of those Gulf countries are also obviously in support of this. Now, Dean Withers, obviously, you've mentioned the point that he got him to negotiate. I think there's a difference between getting someone to negotiate on a great deal, right, that actually encompasses the complexities of their ability to project negative power, right? And there's a difference between getting them on that deal and getting them to a deal that was better. The JCPOA, UN
How do you know that Trump is
2231,
going to negotiate a great deal?
well, given the fact that he believes in the maximum pressure strategy on Iran, given the fact that he's not as lenient on Iran, whatever deal comes out of this is...
No, what he can do is leave that deal. If that's actually what his goal was, he could leave that deal there, start negotiating with them, start threatening them if that's the route he wants to go. That's how you start. You don't start with, okay, rip it up. All right, now a few years down the line, launch a war. It, like, the stuff that he's advocating for isn't even all the things that this guy is saying. Trump isn't even asking for very specific and strong restrictions like this guy is
obviously going to involve major concessions for the IRGC. That's objectively true. Like, for example, I can get Iran to agree to not, like, invade Afghanistan, but it's not like they're planning to anyways. It doesn't matter. A good deal is when you actually address all of the concerns surrounding the IRGC in Iran. Their ability to project power, their ability to build a nuclear bomb is obviously a good one, which we've completely decimated, by the way. I'm just going to get the enriched uranium, and their missile stockpile in the Middle East, right? And stopping the three main terrorist groups they support. That would be, encompassing a deal like that would be great, because the JCPOA included sunset clauses, which meant that within 10 years, in 2025, where it ended, obviously, they would be allowed to continue to enrich uranium, and you'd have to get a new deal. And there was nothing in there that ever encompassed anything about their terrorist organizations, which we gave them more money to support, or their missile, for example, power. By the way, a day before the 12-day war started, okay, I believe the IAEA came out with a report saying that Iran had enough enriched uranium for 9 atom bombs, and then we struck with Midnight Hammer, okay? And Trump gave them a 60-day warning, right, before that to sign a deal. They refused, and they were hit. Simple.
So you're wrong about a couple things. First, you have a misunderstanding of what the IAEA said. They didn't say that they had enough enriched uranium to build 9 atom bombs. They said that they have enough uranium that if they were to further enrich it, they'd have enough to build 9 uranium bombs. That's the official reporting from the IAEA. Check it out yourself. This is something I looked at 2 weeks ago in the middle of a debate because somebody made the same point and I Googled it. Now, the second point that I'll make here is, well, I think that you're kind of throwing on a lot of extra justification for Trump's war on Iran that just simply doesn't exist. You're saying, well, not only is he going after this nuclear threat, but all these other things like proxy terror groups, power and control over the Middle East as a whole. And that's not what we see. When Donald Trump started this war on February 28th, why did he say he did? Not because of terror groups, not because of the Houthis or Hamas, but rather because of a quote-unquote imminent nuclear threat that never existed, as confirmed by our DNA, or I guess who we had as our DNA at the time, Tulsi Gabbard. Everything else.
That's what I was saying at the beginning. We're addressing what you idiots are bringing up. This didn't even come from us.
Else that you've added on in the middle of this debate is not something that they've added on from DC. It is your personal justification for the unjustified. And I'll pass the mic to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, the narrative around the war itself has changed multiple times because Mike Johnson, Tom Cotton, even Marco Rubio, and there's a State Department memo from April 21st that says that we preemptively struck with Israel because Israel was just going to strike them, and we did it in defense of our interests there. I don't think it's really peace through strength to attack on behalf of another country. And then at the same time, you have people like Jonathan Pollard going on podcasts saying that the next aim is Turkey, that they're going after Egypt. So this is obviously, we're there to ensure the security of Israel. It's not peace through strength. The reality of the situation is, if it were truly peace through strength, it would be in America's interest. On behalf of our interests as taxpayers, we're funding a military action that's not helping our country.
So I think we got a lot of things said, talking about the JCPOA and Iran, whether or not they're a nuclear threat or not an imminent nuclear threat, whether or not we should be involved in this conflict and the complexities around the nuclear deal and whether or not this is truly worth it for America or America first.
Imagine boarding a plane and hearing the pilot say, "Don't worry, this is actually my first..."
Extraordinary move. The Justice Department declared the IRS is, quote, forever barred and precluded from auditing President Trump, his family, his oldest sons, and their companies, or pursuing any claims for past actions. It's part of the unprecedented settlement after President Trump dropped his $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS. The deal was orchestrated by the head of the DOJ, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, who is Trump's former personal attorney. Blanche faced tough questions on Capitol Hill today.
You're the president's consigliere.
Your perspective is completely wrong, Senator.
Well, I think the facts will prove me right.
The president's settlement also creates a nearly $1.8 billion fund, taxpayer money, to pay for Trump allies or anyone else who claims they were mistreated by the Biden Justice Department. It's a group that includes the roughly 600 people charged with obstructing or assaulting police on January 6th.
Trump's IRS settlement is not justice for political persecution, it's corruption in plain sight.
I'm actually just going to do a quick summary and wrap up with the first section in the video, and then I'll start a new video in the next section. And so I'll have a video per section. I think that's a good way to do it. So let me play this, and then I'll kind of tell you guys what I think.
So you mentioned the point that he got him to negotiate. I think there's a difference between getting someone to negotiate on a great deal.
Because this is a good place to sum it up.
Right, it actually encompasses the complexities of their ability to project negative power, right? And there's a difference between getting them on that deal and getting them to a deal that was better. The JCPOA, you
How do you know that Trump's going to negotiate a great deal?
Well, given the fact that he believes in the maximum pressure strategy on Iran, given the fact that he's not as lenient on Iran, whatever deal comes out of this is obviously going to involve major concessions for the IRGC. That's objectively true. Like, for example, I can get...
Okay. So, Mad Nuclear is basically saying that, let's see, about the problem. Trump is proving that peace through strength work. Iran is negotiating because it knows America is finally willing to finish the job. So he's just saying that, you know, the reason that they're going to negotiate now is because of the way Trump is behaving and because of how aggressive Trump is. Is that what we see whenever the Iran leaders talk? Is that how they sound, or do they sound like they can't trust us? Trump, his word means nothing. Trump will lie about them negotiating in the first place. Iran will be like, we weren't even talking to this guy. He's lying. He's manipulating the markets. What does it sound like to you guys? And also, do you agree with this guy that Trump's strategy right now is effective, where instead of just leaving the JCPOA and then doing further negotiations from there, instead it's rip up the JCPOA, make extremely strong demands immediately that they're not, I mean, we can hardly even call it negotiation. It's demands. They're making demands of Iran that they're definitely not going to follow, and then threatening military action once they inevitably do not follow those threats. That's what he's doing.
The IRGC, that's objectively true. Like, for example, I can get Iran to agree to not invade Afghanistan, but it's not like they're planning to anyways. It doesn't matter. A good deal is when you actually address all of the concerns surrounding the IRGC in Iran. Their ability to...
A good deal is whenever you address all of the concerns surrounding the IRGC in Iran.
Power, their ability to build a nuclear...
Their ability to project power. They should have no ability to project power.
Bomb is obviously a good one.
By the deal this guy says would be a good deal.
Which we've completely decimated, by the way.
If it doesn't do all of these things, it's not a good deal. It's a bad deal. It's only good or bad deals. There aren't okay deals. There aren't we're almost there deals. There aren't progress deals. It's just good or bad. And we need the good, and if we don't get the good, more war. Until we get all of this, more war.
I'm just going to get the enriched uranium. And
I mean, what kind of world is that? We just keep pummeling them. The peace through strength, where we just keep bombing and bombing and bombing and bombing until we get what we want. I mean, look at this guy. He's evil. He's actually evil. Even this guy knows. He's like, Brian, please shut up.
Right, and stopping the three main terrorist groups they support. That would be, encompassing a deal like that would be great. The JCPOA included sunset clauses, which meant that within 10 years, in 2025, where it ended, obviously, they would be allowed to continue to enrich uranium, and you'd have to get a new deal. And there was nothing in there that ever encompassed anything about their terrorist organizations, which we gave them more money to support, or their missile, for example, power. By the way, a day before the 12-day war started, okay, I believe the IAEA came out with a report saying that Iran had enough enriched uranium for 9 atom bombs, and then we struck with Midnight Hammer, okay? And Trump gave them a 60-day...
Okay. But just keep in mind, regardless of all the extra tangents and other ways in which I've attacked it, the point is whatever deal we get at the end of this, and again, forget the fact that in order for him to be truly right, the deal has to include all these things that he said. But is it better? Are we going to get a stronger deal doing all of the war that we've done, all of the attacks that we've done, and treating them the way that we have? Or would we get a better deal with these guys and have, well, I won't even say and have a better relationship, I'll leave that out. Would we get a stronger deal on these guys if we were more diplomatic about it and we were more tame? I'm not saying we just did nothing and we just said, hey, you got to do no. But with economic sanctions or giving them money that we may have taken from them, things like that, for unfreezing their assets, these sorts of things, and gotten a deal like that. Maybe even guaranteed them protection, maybe protection from Israel. I don't know that they would have believed us on that, but you understand where I'm going with this. I highly doubt that Trump's method that he's using is going to get us a better deal than what we could have had if we were more cool-headed about this. And that's basically what this is about, what this section is about.